This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
Our cold stretch continues tonight, but there's an end in sight. Our Weather First team is tracking a slight warm-up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred, in for Kelly Jackson tonight. While we're going to see a little relief, the bitter cold will be back. The cold plus last night's snow led to several crashes in the St. Louis area today. Many were along our major interstates. Justina Cornell's live in the storm tracker with a look at the roads. But first, meteorologist Jim Castillo.
Yeah, started out so cold, guys. In fact, down around 2 in St. Louis, 16 for that high. And notice that snow on the ground you still see in Cuba, Missouri. It didn't really melt today. Some of it did. It's going to refreeze as we get into the next couple of hours here as the sun goes down. And, of course, those temperatures will continue to be really chilly the next couple of days, but we do go back up a little bit tomorrow. It's clear right now. It's going to be a clear night and maybe not as cold as it has been, but it's 14 now. Feels like 0, so it's still frigid. And temperatures in the single digits and teens throughout the area right now. Now, the wind chill, the winds die down a little bit, but we're still near 0 in most areas. And, of course, the weather headlines include some mid-30s tomorrow. That'll be the warmest day of the week. A cold front arrives Thursday early, and that is an Arctic front, so more snow chances and frigid air in play as we get into Thursday night and into Friday. In fact, accumulations are very likely with that. Again, I'll get into that in Maine weather. Tonight's forecasted lows just below 10 degrees, and of course, nothing on the Doppler weather radar for tonight. Much more weather for you coming up in just a bit.
And let's continue our team coverage with a look at road conditions from our storm tracker.
Our Justina Cornell has been driving on I-64 in St. Louis County. Justina.
Yeah, Mike and Ann. So things are looking pretty good right now as we just pass Ladue and make our way to downtown St. Louis. Now we're seeing a little bit more traffic as we are in that evening rush. I'm going to flip the camera so you can see a bit of what we're seeing right now. Now we haven't seen any accidents, but we have seen cars on the side of the road, and that's just a reminder of what people saw this morning. MoDOT said that they limited the amount of treatment on the roads because they worried it would melt and freeze over again. And because it's so cold, MoDOT said it doesn't take much for something to get on the roadway and cause those slick spots. AAA said they saw an increased number of calls for emergency roadside services, and that bitter cold and snow caused some problems, especially in certain areas.
Especially around curves, on-ramps, off-ramps to the highway, any hills. Those are really the trouble spots that drivers should look out for. Unfortunately, a lot of times what it is people are in a rush, right, and they're not slowing down.
Now, AAA said the #1 call that they're getting right now is for dead batteries, so they remind you to have jumper cables on hand and also check to see the timeline of that battery to see how long it will last. And usually they said 5 years is when it expires. Reporting live, Justina Cornell, 5 on your side.
AAA tells us it has responded to thousands of calls for emergency roadside help in the last week. This is for all of Missouri, the Metro East, and Southern Illinois. There were 20,139 calls. That's an 88% increase compared to the week before. And then, of course, Justina said most of them a dead battery. Other top calls were for towing and flat tires.
Dozens of people at another St. Louis building have been forced to evacuate because of broken water pipes. This morning, busloads of people were taken away from the Mark Twain building after several floors flooded. 5 on your side's Annie Krall visited one of the evacuation centers.
The St. Louis Fire Department was called out to the Mark Twain building on North 9th Street just before 6 a.m. Tuesday for multiple broken water pipes and flooding. Luckily, all residents were able to get out safely, but needed to evacuate to different locations.
We're going to keep everybody posted on how long the situation might be, a couple of days, but we got to get it back up to par and up to the inspection for the fire department to say that it's okay to bring our residents back into the building.
There are about 213 residents in that building on 8 floors. About 30 of them came here to 5 Star Senior Center trying to get warm.
At the moment, we're providing safety, warmth, just kind of overall shelter. We've gotten folks fed a little bit this morning, and we'll eat some hot lunch later on this afternoon.
Metro called the 5 Star Senior Center Tuesday morning, asking if they could take all of the evacuated residents, but they said they have a 50-person capacity.
We looked up and a Metro bus was showing up, and the folks piled out. They were carrying trash bags full of things, their belongings, I'm assuming, and they just really wanted a warm place. They apparently had been up since 5 o'clock is what they told us.
Several other apartment buildings like Heritage House on Olive Street in Midtown facing a similar challenge with frozen pipes, flooding, and no heat. It's unclear what the fixes and permanent living situation will be for many of these people displaced from the cold. Reporting in St. Louis, Annie Crawl, 5 on your side.
Tonight, more than a dozen investigators are searching for a woman who disappeared in Washington County, Missouri.
5 on your side's Diamond Palmer is just back from Potosi, where she learned more about this case. Diamond.
Well, Ann and Mike, authorities confirm a Washington County Sheriff's deputy responded to a call for service at a hospital and picked up Donna I on the night of January 8th. 20 minutes later, the deputy dropped her off, and she hasn't been seen since. Donna I was last seen near Shirley School Road in Potosi. She is 44 years old and was wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue jeans. The deputy says she dropped off I at the end of a driveway, which she said led to her brother's house. But her brother tells us today she was actually dropped off at a conservation road and not his driveway. Now, a week later, the Washington County Sheriff has activated the Mineral Area Major Case Squad. They have more than a dozen investigators who are now looking into the case. Donna I's brother tells me he's concerned about the events leading up to her disappearance.
You think that's where it's safe, or where she's getting the correct care or proper care? I mean, the two entities, the hospital and the sheriff's department, the two entities you believe are there to serve and protect and help and do what's in the best interest of a human being, are the two that we're having to look at right now.
Now, anyone with information is asked to call the Washington County, Missouri 911 Center, and that number is 573-438-1079.
A trial is delayed for the man accused of shooting and killing a St. Louis police officer. It was supposed to begin today. Thomas Kinworthy is charged with killing Officer Tamaris Bohannon in 2020. The judge says the delay is because a state lawyer is sick and defense witnesses are not available. The trial will now happen in either March or April.
Tonight, 2 men are charged in a shooting and stabbing on a Metrolink train. Police say Gary Walker and Richard Hamilton got out of the train in Shrewsbury on Sunday. They got into a fight with 2 people they accused of a robbery. Hamilton is charged with stabbing the 2 men and stealing a gun. Walker is charged with shooting one of the victims. None of the injuries, we're told, were serious.
Former President Donald Trump is in court again, the latest case that's going to a jury.
The Iowa caucuses are over. Now we look at what's next for the GOP candidates in other states.
Tax changes for parents and businesses, the push from lawmakers to provide more breaks.